episode 13 of Law and Batting Order. I'm your host, Tony Iliakostas. Here are some quick hits from the past week. March Madness is here, and let me tell you, it has already become madness. While college basketball is all about upsets and surprises, it is nothing like what was experienced this past week. This week alone, there were 5 upsets in the opening round of the famous college basketball tournament. 2011 Final Four competitor VCU, a 12th-seeded team, beat 5th-seeded Wichita State 62-59, showing that VCU coach Shaka Smart still makes smart moves. The other big upset was UNLV losing to 11th-seeded Colorado 68-64, but perhaps the biggest upset was number 2-seeded Duke University losing to the 15th-seeded Lehigh Mountain Hawks. Now, you didn't hear me wrong. The Blue Devils actually lost. CJ McCollum led Lehigh with 30 points to help the Mountain Hawks advance to the next round. These upsets are what make March Madness one of the most exhilarating sports competitions in the country, and hopefully that excitement will continue as the tournament progresses. NFL free agency has officially begun, and boy, where do I start? The big winners this week were the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who whipped out big bucks to acquire some of the biggest free agents available this year. The Bucs strengthened their offense by signing All-Pro guard Carl Nicks and star wide receiver Vincent Jackson to long-term deals. They also signed former Detroit Lion cornerback Eric Wright to bolster their defense. This gives the Bucs a formidable team to work with for new head coach Greg Schiano. Other notable moves this week included former Colts wide receiver Pierre Garçon signing a 5-year, $42.5 million deal with the Washington Redskins, running back Peyton Hillis becoming a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, linebacker and defensive end Mario Williams signing with the Buffalo Bills for 6 years at around $100 million, and wide receiver Deshaun Jackson re-signing with the Philadelphia Eagles. While there was a merry-go-round happening in the NFL, there was one happening in the NBA this past week. This past Thursday was the date of the NBA trade deadline. While Dwight Howard psyched out all NBA fans and agreed to stay with the Orlando Magic through the 2012-2013 season, there were plenty of other moves that made this year's trade deadline a fun one to follow. Some of the biggest trades included Washington Wizards talent Nick Young becoming a Los Angeles Clipper, Nuggets center Nene becoming a Wizard, and the acquisition of Monta Ellis by the Milwaukee Bucks from the Golden State Warriors. In addition to the trade deadline, there were several coaching moves. The Portland Trail Blazers fired their coach Nate McMillan after being their head coach since 2005. However, the biggest and perhaps the most surprising coaching move was Knicks coach Mike D'Antoni resigning after the Knicks lost 6 straight games following Monday's loss against the Chicago Bulls. Mike Woodson has stepped in as the Knicks head coach and has since led the Knicks to 2 straight wins, and will hopefully lead the team deep into the NBA playoffs. Today's Order in the Court will be discussing the recent headline regarding Auburn men's basketball player Varez Ward. Approximately 2 weeks ago, it was revealed that the FBI was investigating Varez Ward on allegations of point shaving on at least 2 different occasions this season. The NCAA has contacted the FBI regarding this probe, and the NCAA and Auburn University have both taken measures in suspending Varez Ward from playing with the Tigers. The facts are very scarce with respect to this matter, but thankfully this is not a case of first impression. Point shaving is a crime that has been ongoing in both amateur and professional sports for quite a long period of time. In this episode, I will be discussing what point shaving is, and I'll be addressing the bigger issue. Could Auburn Tigers guard Varez Ward be found guilty of point shaving? According to USLegal.com, point shaving is the illegal practice of deliberately limiting the number of points scored by one's team in an athletic contest, as in return for a payment from gamblers to ensure winnings. It is a collaboration between athletes and gamblers to commit criminal sports wagering by manipulating the scores of sporting events such as basketball and football. The goal is for an athlete on a team that is favored by several points to keep the score down, not so much to lose the game, but enough to prevent the team from covering the spread. Based on this definition alone and applying the rules of the NCAA to the Varez Ward matter, it is possible that Ward could be barred from playing college basketball as long as evidence is revealed that Ward was paid a certain amount of money in this scandal. If this is the case, then Ward would be in direct violation of the NCAA's bylaws regarding amateur athletes being paid. Article 16, Section 1 states that a student athlete shall not receive any extra benefit. Receipt by a student athlete of an award benefit or expense allowance not authorized by NCAA legislation renders the student athlete ineligible for athletics competition in the sport for which the improper award benefit or expense was received. If the student athlete receives an extra benefit not authorized by NCAA legislation, the individual is ineligible in all sports. This article basically states that college athletes can only be paid via scholarships, and any other monetary award not authorized by the NCAA can be declared as an improper award and could make the player ineligible to play his respective sport. Based on this rule, if the FBI shares evidence with the NCAA that Varez Ward was paid while fixing the point spread of certain games, then there is sufficient evidence to declare that Ward is ineligible to play basketball for Auburn. In addition to violating the NCAA's rule on improper awards, the FBI could charge Ward with bribery. Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 224, addresses bribery in sporting contests. Subsection A reads as follows. Whoever carries into effect, attempts to carry into effect, or conspires with any other person to carry into effect any scheme in commerce to influence in any way by bribery any sporting contest with the knowledge that the purpose of such scheme is to influence by bribery that contest shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. The case of U.S. v. Burke is a classic case of point shaving. The case dealt with two defendant gamblers who recruited Richard Kuhn from the 1979-1980 Boston College Eagles men's basketball team to be involved in a point-shaving scheme. The goal was to select certain basketball games where the projected point spread separating BC from its opponent was expected to be significant. Kuhn would be responsible for ensuring, by his play on the court, that Boston College fell short of the point spread. Based on his participation, Kuhn would be paid a bonus for helping fix the point spread. The court found that under the sports bribery statute in 18 U.S.C. Section 224 and other statutes, the defendants were in direct violation of the statute and were found guilty of point shaving. In the case of Varez Ward, the FBI could argue that Ward conspired with any other person, a gambler in this case, to make a profit by way of bribery. Black's Law Dictionary states that bribery is the corrupt payment, receipt, or solicitation of a private favor for official action. Bribery could apply here because the evidence could show that Varez Ward was paid as part of a private favor to interfere with an official action, which is in this case the score of a basketball game. Furthermore, if the federal government decides to prosecute Varez Ward under 18 U.S.C. 224, the burden is on the government to show that Ward acted knowingly, meaning that he was practically certain that the prohibited conduct of bribery could lead to prohibited result, which is distorting the spread of a game. Again, the facts are rather scarce in this matter, but if the FBI, after probing Varez Ward, finds that the Auburn Tigers guard is in direct violation of this sports bribery statute, then it is possible that he could face federal prosecution and potentially face jail time. That's the show. Leave all your comments down below, and be sure to visit Law and Batting Order at lawandbattingorder.com, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, have a great week, guys.